In a recent 12-day conflict, Iran and Israel exchanged drone and missile strikes, one of their most direct military escalations in decades. To many, it felt sudden, but this tension didn't appear overnight. It's been building for over 70 years. To understand it, we have to go back to 1953, the year the United States helped overthrow Iran's democratically elected government. The operation was called Operation Ajax, and it changed the course of Middle Eastern history. In the early 1950s, Iran was emerging as a constitutional democracy. Its prime minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, was widely respected, both at home and abroad. He wasn't a radical. He wasn't a communist. He was a nationalist who believed one thing: that Iran's resources should belong to its people. At the time, nearly all of Iran's oil was controlled by a British company, Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, or AIOC, what we now know as BP. The British reaped massive profits. Meanwhile, most Iranians lived in poverty, and their country saw almost none of the oil wealth. So Mossadegh did what many believed was right. He nationalized the oil industry, kicking out the British and putting Iran's oil under state control. To the British, this was a disaster. They were furious and desperate to regain control of Iranian oil. But instead of negotiating, Britain chose a different path. They turned to the United States. They warned that Mossadegh might fall under Soviet influence. This was the Cold War, and fear of communism overruled everything. The US government agreed to help. In 1953, President Eisenhower approved a covert CIA operation, Operation Ajax. It was the first ever American regime change mission, and it would serve as the blueprint for many more to come. The CIA sent in Kermit Roosevelt Jr., grandson of Teddy Roosevelt, to lead the operation from the ground in Tehran. The tactics were simple but effective. Bribe politicians, military officials, and religious leaders. Plant fake news stories in Iranian newspapers. Hire mobs to stage riots and protests. Stir up enough chaos to make Mossadegh look unstable. It was classic psychological warfare long before the internet made it easy. The first coup attempt failed. Mossadegh arrested several collaborators, but the CIA didn't give up. They escalated their efforts. More money, more manipulation. Finally, on August 19, 1953, the coup succeeded. Mossadegh was arrested. The Shah, who had fled the country, was brought back and installed as ruler. Iran's democracy was over. Its oil industry was reopened to the West. The new ruler, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was dubbed the Shah. He promised to modernize Iran, but ruled as an authoritarian monarch. With US and British support, he cracked down hard, dissolved parliament, banned opposition, formed SAVAK, a brutal secret police force trained by the CIA and Mossad. Political dissent was crushed. Torture became routine, all in the name of stability. For the US and Britain, it seemed like a success. Oil was flowing. The communists were kept out. The Shah was cooperative. But inside Iran, resentment festered. To the Iranian people, it wasn't just about oil or elections. It was about sovereignty and how it had been stolen. Fast forward to 1979. After years of unrest and protest, the Iranian people rose up and overthrew the Shah. He fled the country, and in his place came a new regime, led by Ayatollah Khomeini, an Islamic cleric who had spent years opposing Western control. That same year, Iranian students stormed the US embassy in Tehran and took 52 Americans hostage. It was a dramatic moment, but to many Iranians, it was payback. Not for 1979, but for 1953. For decades, the US denied involvement in the coup. But in the year 2000, Secretary of State Madeleine Albright publicly acknowledged the truth. The United States played a significant role in orchestrating the overthrow of Iran's popular prime minister, and the coup was clearly a setback for Iran's political development. By then, it was too late to undo the damage. Operation Ajax set the stage for decades of mistrust. It poisoned US-Iran relations, and it showed the world that even democratically elected governments were not safe from foreign intervention. From Iran to Chile to Guatemala, the CIA would repeat this playbook again and again. And today, the echoes are still loud. Iran's leadership continues to frame US actions through the lens of 1953. Every sanction, drone strike, or political demand is interpreted not just as policy, but as history repeating itself. So the next time headlines mention Iran's hostility toward the West, or when another brief war erupts in the region, remember that this story goes back generations to a coup that toppled democracy, replaced it with dictatorship, and rewrote the future of an entire region. Operation Ajax wasn't just a moment in Cold War strategy. It was the day Iran stopped trusting the West, and the world changed forever.